Hey everybody, this is John for Pioneer Nexus MTG coming at you with another deck overview. This time, Grinning Ignus Combo. A combo deck that sees some play more in the Explorer format than Pioneer, but is a deck you should be aware of, as you might run into it from time to time. So, as the name might suggest, the card deck is based around the card Grinning Ignus. Now this is a weird card design that I believe was originally from the Time Spiral block. It's 2 in a red for a 2/2 creature. Nothing terribly exciting. Pay 1 red, returning Grinning Ignus to its owner's hand, add 2 colorless and 1 red, activate only as a sorcery. Now, as you might notice, the mana that it adds happens to be equal to the mana cost of Grinning Ignus. So, potentially, if you can find a way to reduce this by 1 mana, you can cast this infinitely, do stuff off of that. As far as that goes, you need some way to reduce the mana cost. So, first card, Hazoret's Monument. Hazoret's Monument, red creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Oh wait, that means you can return Grinning Ignus for 3 mana. Keep this loop going, and you can do something to break that loop. Bottom half of Hazoret's Monument also helps with that. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. This allows you to kind of loot through your deck, finding the missing piece of whatever you're trying to set up. Now, as far as you also have the card Burji, God of Storytelling. Whenever you cast a spell, add 1 red till the end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. This is another way to kind of reduce the cost, keep things going. Runaway Steam kind of works the similar way, but you do have to be able to cast 2 other red spells first before you get the mana investment back, but is yet another way to potentially break Grinning Ignus as far as causing a loop. Now, once you have the loop going, you have to have something to do with it. Now, obviously, Hazoret's Monument helps with that, looting through the deck. Risen Reef, because Grinning Ignus is a elemental, is also a way to recoup cards, go through your deck, put a bunch of stuff into play. This is certainly one way to take advantage of stuff. As this is going through, you're going to infinitely get through your deck, and eventually, you'll find one of your win cons. Now, your win cons, first one, Devilish Valet. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, double Devilish Valet's power. It has trample and haste. So if you're infinitely looping a Grinning Ignus, well, Devilish Valet is going to be infinitely powerful, has haste, smack, kill your opponent. Defiler of Instinct. This is, as an additional cost to red permanents, you may pay 2 life. These spells cost 2 life. 1 red less to cast if you paid life this way. This effect reduces only the amount of red mana. Now, this kind of works with some loops of Grinning Ignus, but you can only do this so many times with your life total. And then, whenever you cast a red permanent spell, Defiler of Instinct deals 1 damage to any target. I'm infinitely playing with these Grinning Ignuses. Now I get to infinitely ping everything, including my opponent's face. Oops, they're dead. Another thing you can use to take advantage of this is Prosperous Innkeeper. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, gain 1 life. As you're looping in Grinning Ignus, you gain infinite life. Not really a whole lot that can be done to overcome that. Now, there are certain things that can win through that, some type of mill strategy, out of, like, say, mono green, the ability for Teferi to tuck itself if they can deal with the rest of your deck. You'll draw out and die, but generally speaking, Prosperous Innkeeper getting infinite life, a lot of decks can't overcome that, is yet another potential win con. Now, as far as finding your Grinning Ignus, which obviously it's the namesake card, you have Fauna Shaman. 1 in a green tap, discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand. This can find Grinning Ignus, this can find Burji, this can find Risen Reef, etc. Also, the backside of Burji, Harnfell, Horn of Bounty, say that 5 times fast. Legendary artifact, discard a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library, you may play those cards this turn. This allows you to kind of draw through your deck, find the missing pieces, kind of really go nuts from there. Also, 4 copies of Collected Company. Key pieces you're trying to find are all 3 drops. Once you find Grinning Ignus, kind of winning the game from there is arbitrary if your opponent can't answer immediately. Rest of the deck, acceleration in the form of Elvish Mystic Llanowar Elves. Tangled Florahedron is acceleration in addition to it being an elemental and a land drop, perhaps. Prosperous Innkeeper doubles as both a little bit of arbitrary life gain in the early turns to keep you alive, while also, setting up the infinite life combo or just gaining some life and annoying the heck out of your aggro opponents. And that's kind of what the main deck tries to do. It is very much a combo deck. Forces your opponent to respect it. It has an okay beatdown plan, but this is very much about Grinning Ignus Combo, and you are vulnerable to things like extraction effects, etc. But, beyond that, you're a creature combo deck. You need to keep your creature alive. If you can do that, your opponent's going to die very quickly, although you may get tired from your hands taking a lot of game actions. As far as the sideboard, Cemetery Prowler, way to kind of beat down. But also, when it exiles, spells you cast cost 1 less for each cast for each card type they share with cards exiled with Cemetery Prowler. So you can Cemetery Prowler can come down, reduce the mana cost of Grinning Ignus by 1. Once again, kind of helps in that matter, while also being things that can attack opponents' graveyards if they have things like Greased Fang or Arclight Phoenixes that you want to deal with. Outline Liberator, way to blow up artifacts or enchantments. Tamiyo Safekeeping, way to protect your creatures. Particularly, once again, if Grinning Ignus dies, you're in a lot of trouble. And since the combo is sorcery speed, your opponent's generally going to have a fairly decent window to interact if they have any type of instant speed interaction. So keeping them alive through one removal spell can potentially win you the game. Shaper's Sanctuary, once again, very similar thing. You bring this in against decks like Rakdos and stuff. They're trying to kill everything. Runaway Steamkin, not sure why you need a second copy, but when you already have so many different ways to accelerate or reduce the cost of your main deck. But, if you need an extra combo piece, maybe there's a matchup where you need to be a little bit faster. Second copy makes a little bit of sense. Abrade, flexible removal spell, destroys artifacts, destroys most of your opponent's creatures, especially on the early turns, buys you some time, blows up, say, a Parhelion or something like a Greased Fang. Can also blow up things like Sky Sovereign, which could threaten to devastate your board in a conventional game. And then Rending Volley. If you see a red deck, generally you're seeing Rending Volley or Fry. That's because it's good against humans, it's good against spirits, it's okay against angels, and pretty good against Greased Fang. The card Greased Fang specifically. So, as far as the deck, what it's capable of doing, this is a deck capable of winning, I believe, on turn 3. Go turn 1 Accelerator, turn 2 Hazoret's Monument, turn 3 Grinning Ignus. Loot through your deck. Kind of go from there. You can cast something like a Burgi. But generally, it is a turn 4 combo, and it is a deck that can threaten to win out of nowhere with Collected Company, untap with your missing pieces, kill your opponent. And once again, it has an slow creature beats, but something that can threaten your opponent. It also has a grinding game plan with Collected Company and Risen Reef, so as well as the backside of, Harnfell, Horn of Bounty. So this deck kind of has it all. I'm honestly surprised it doesn't see more play. Now, obviously, if you don't find Grinning Ignus, the rest of the deck is kind of mopey, dorky creatures. But, when you have a namesake card in your deck, it's kind of what the deck does. Once again, this isn't a deck you're going to see a lot. It's a deck I've actually seen probably more in Explorer than I have in Pioneer. But it's still a deck you should be aware of, and a deck that you might find interesting and a little bit different to play, as opposed to a lot of the other conventional stuff going on in the Pioneer format. As always, this is John for Pioneer Nexus MTG. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and maybe let me know what deck you'd like to see us cover next, as there aren't really a whole lot of known archetypes out there, much left to cover on for the channel.